Hello everybody. As you can see, I decided to start making videos on extreme vocals, on how to scream, and just share my opinion and experience about all this stuff. And today I would like to discuss an important topic, namely what to think about, what to consider before you had even started screaming, or if you have just started practicing recently. There are plenty of things that newcomers might not even consider, things that I wish I knew when I started screaming. So I will cover everything in this video, so your journey in extreme vocals will be more pleasant, you will progress faster, and most importantly you will have the right mindset and attitude to screaming, and to clean vocals too, because I will touch on it in this video too. So let's start. First point, your vocal range. And I know it's gonna be kinda controversial because nowadays many people, especially many vocal teachers, are trying to sell you on the idea that your vocal range is basically limitless and you need to use your mixed voice, do this and that, and you will be able to sing like your favorite tenor vocalist. First of all, your mixed voice and your chest voice are completely different things. With your chest voice, you're able to sing and scream with way more punch in your sound. Your chest voice sounds tighter, it sounds richer. When a baritone sings in his mixed voice and a tenor sings in his chest voice, they sound completely different. And you need to understand that. If you're a baritone and you want to do extreme stuff all the time, for example, deathcore screams or falsetto screams, it's gonna be okay, because in metal we have plenty of baritones who are screaming in their mixed range and they sound amazing. But if you want to sound like Chester Bennington, Sam Carter, or for example Oliver Sykes, we have a problem. Because the first problem, they're singing quite a lot in their songs, and the second problem, they're switching between singing and screaming quite a lot. And you can do the same if you're a baritone, but I want to say that you can't really do the same in their tessitura. You can't really hit the same notes as they do and feel as comfortable as them, because once again, they're tenors. You're a baritone. Maybe you're a tenor and you're okay with that, but... and I see many people online wanna do exactly that. They wanna hit the note that they can barely hit, and as if they were tenors. But this is impossible, unfortunately. Guys, I'm sorry. Keep in mind that your favorite tenor vocalists expanded their ranges during years of recording, practicing, and touring. And they can hit notes that a usual tenor non-vocalist can't really hit. So just understand with whom you're gonna compete. And the opposite situation is true too. If you're a tenor and you wanna sound like Alex Terrible and Phil Bosman, you can use the same technique. You can sound amazing, but you won't be able to hit the same low notes as they do. Because, once again, they're not usual baritones. They're baritones who spend half of their lives on low growls, and there are not that many baritones who can replicate that, let alone tenors. And some of you might think, but what about Axl Rose and Freddie Mercury? They can hit both low notes and high notes. They're exceptions. Axl Rose, it's a one vocalist in a million. The dude sounds lower than me when he speaks. We just watch some of their interviews. It's just insane, and he can sing like a tenor.
You know, basically their music's like second fiddle to their other desires. Our music comes first.
It exceeds abilities of a usual vocalist by far. You're not gonna sound like Axl Rose. You're not gonna expand your range that much. You can use mixed voice, yeah, but Axl Rose doesn't sing in his mixed range. That's why he's unique. That's why Freddie Mercury is one of the greatest vocalists too. To sum this part up, expanding your vocal range a lot is possible with years of hard work and practice, of course, but becoming a tenor and a baritone simultaneously is probably not. Develop and improve your strong points given to you by nature in the first place, like all professional vocalists do. And if you're a baritone, think more about baritone parts. If you're a tenor, think more about tenor parts. And if you're bass, if I were you, I would growl all the time. Your timbre. We're not gonna talk a lot about it, but just so you know, the same note produced by different people sounds different, and the difference can be pretty huge. For example, if I hit a note and Corey Taylor hits a note, his note is gonna sound lower than mine, because he has lower and richer timbre. And that's because of the construction of his vocal tract and the overtones that it produces. Another example is Jim Morrison. All my life I was thinking that he has a low voice, but at some point I tried to sing along the Doors on, and surprise, he's a tenor, but once again with low and rich timbre. And the thing you need to understand is that not only your vocal range, but your timbre too plays a significant role in what your vocals and your screaming will sound like. Fortunately, in extreme vocals we have a lot of ways of changing our timbre by switching between different techniques, different distortions, different mouth shapes, and so on and so forth. So good for us. The time it takes. I know you watched videos on how to learn screaming in 1 minute or how to start sounding like Corey Taylor in 30 seconds, but the reality is, as with any other skill, it takes a lot of time to learn how to scream. Constant practice, hard work, patience, and if you want to sound like your favorite vocalist, it will take years. It might seem obvious, but I feel like many people think that you only need to find your false vocal folds or your fry distortion, and after that point everything will be easy. Guys, finding your false vocal folds is the very beginning of the path. You're not gonna unlock high-pitched screams or demon growls just like that. I know it sounds unsexy, but this is the harsh reality. Practice, educate yourself, try different methods, and one day you will achieve the sound that you have always wanted. The place you'll be practicing in. It's crucial to have a place where nobody can hear you, because you really want to feel freedom of doing weird noises and experimenting with your voice if you want to do extreme vocals. And even in the perfect environment, it's sometimes hard to catch the right sensation or find the proper position for making some scream. And if you're thinking all the time about other people hearing you or about you disturbing other people, it's not gonna work. And yeah, at some point you will become really loud and it will actually irritate other people. So you better find some good place for practicing, and here's my list of such places. A rehearsal room or some vocal booth is obviously the best option, but we all know what it costs, it takes time to commute, you need to adjust to a schedule of a rehearsal base. We understand that and we move on. A closet. Literally any closet with cloth. The advantage is acoustic isolation. The drawback, you'll be running out of air every now and then, and you'll have to open the door and ventilate it. So, not especially convenient option, but it might work for you perfectly. A car. With a car you have acoustic isolation, some sort of private space. You can even buy curtains so no one sees what faces you are making. On top of that, Alex Terrible was practicing his parents' car when he was just starting out, so practicing extreme vocals in a car might be kinda legendary at this point. So try it out. Related to the previous one, garage. If you have your own private garage, great, go with it. If you don't, you can look up some options in your city. And availability of garages will hugely depend on the country that you live in. But I know for sure that in some places you can rent a garage for pretty cheap. The disadvantages of this option are, first, it's quite cold in some garages in winter, and the second, people who are passing by might wonder what the fuck are you doing there. But places with many garages are built for cars, not for people, so what's the problem? The next option on my list is renting a room or a flat with nice neighbors or good acoustic isolation. During my years of training, I was screaming in my dorm. A terrible place to live in, by the way. And my roommates were like, it's all good and everything, but bro, shut the fuck up please, we don't wanna hear you. But it wasn't actually a bad place for practicing, because if the majority of people is in the university, then you have your empty dorm. And you can practice and scream as loud as you want. You just need to miss your lectures or something. I was also screaming in my rented rooms, and the first thing I have to mention is if you have a separate, huge or just long hallway, try practicing there. Because there are not gonna be neighbors hanging around on the floor above or below at the same place, because the layout of your flat and their flats, it's gonna be similar pretty much. And people usually don't stay for too long in their hallways, so try it out. At some point I was renting a flat together with another vocalist, and we had just a roof above us, an illegal private kindergarten, and an empty flat next to it on the floor below, and on our floor we had just neighbors who didn't care at all. Now I'm living in a semi-basement with thick walls. Nobody can hear me screaming, I can do whatever I want. So, when you're trying to choose a place to live and to scream, ask the owners of the places about neighbors. Is anybody gonna mind you screaming and making some weird noises? Are there any neighbors at all? Because maybe there aren't. Is acoustic isolation good enough? Just remember, everything is possible, and if you're searching for a desirable place full on enough, eventually you will find what you need. Moving on from that, the pain is not okay, but with some exceptions and clarifications. Basically, you have to avoid any pain while you're screaming, but when you just started and you're searching for false vocal folds, you may face it one way or another. And in this case, it's okay, because you just started, but it's still not good for you. So, you're still trying to avoid pain, you drink as much water as you need, and you rest as much as you need. And eventually, with practice, you'll find the right position, and there will be no pain, and it will be alright. The second case where pain is okay is the pain of your muscles, and I'm talking here mainly about your growls and the muscles of your neck. You see, in order to maintain the low sound and to keep your larynx down below for a long period of time, you need the muscles of your neck to be very strong. And the logic is simple. If you want your muscles to be strong, you need to grow them. If you want your muscles to grow, you need to train them. And yeah, if you train your muscles gradually for years, you may not feel anything at all. But if you wanna get relatively fast results, relatively means it still takes years, you need to do exercises for your neck. And just after any other exercises, like for biceps or something, your muscles, the muscles of your neck, will hurt. And it's okay. Once again, I'm not talking about throat or anything, just these muscles of your neck. And that's it for today, guys. I hope this video helped you to realize something. I hope I gave you some value and some things to think about. Good luck on your extreme vocals journey. I wish you great screams, and see you soon.